So soil as a resource, if you see the very first line on page number 8, it is written that the soil is a living system and it takes millions of years to form soil up to a few centimeters in depth. And the relief, parent rock or the bedrock, climate, vegetation, and other forms of life and time are important factors in the formation of soil. So you can note down these lines, which are the important factors in the formation of soil. Clear? These are relief, parent rock, or the bedrock. Parent rock or the bedrock means that the origin of the soil. Clear? We have already done in 7th standard. If you remember, we had done the various forms of rocks, how they are formed, and how the various processes of weathering, wind, clear, glacier, rain, water, all these, how these agents break up the rocks and the soils are formed. But it takes long years. So that's why we are studying here that we need to protect the topmost layer, which is the most fertile layer of the soil. Here we are doing soil as a resource, and we all know that soil is the life for plants, clear, for animals, trees, all vegetation grows on the soil. And if soil is harmed, that is, we will study further about soil erosion, clear. We have already read about the land degradation. So how that can be harmful for the human beings. As keeping with the variation of latitude and longitude extent of India, we have variety of vegetation. Similarly, we have variety of soils also in India. So we are going to read about the various types of soils which are available to us in India, or we can say the classification. So the first is alluvial soil. Now this soil is the most widely spread, clear, and important soil because we know that the northern region is made up with this soil, and this is also called as the food basket because maximum, we read the other day also, that agriculture is the main occupation in this area. These have been deposited. These means alluvial soils have been deposited by 3 important Himalayan river systems, that is the Indus, the Ganga, and the Brahmaputra. And we know that the soil which is available to us near the banks of the rivers, clear, is most fertile because while flowing, the flowing water deposits very fine soil on the banks. That's why when we read about the civilizations, we know that many civilizations originated near the river, like Indus Valley civilization. Why? Because of the availability of natural, good, fertile soil, and also because of the availability of water. Next is, these soils are extended in Rajasthan and Gujarat. So what we are going to do is, we have a map also. On the very next page, on page number 9, you have the map also. We are going to learn the states. We must know the states in which a particular soil is available. Then it becomes very easy to do the map. Now, suppose if we are talking about the alluvial soil, and you can see the map in your book, easily we see that the Union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, as they are now. Next is, we have Himachal Pradesh, clear, then Uttarakhand, and then Sikkim, and parts of Arunachal Pradesh. These are mountainous, forest and mountainous soils. So if we want to learn clear the areas, or we want to mark the areas in the map, it will become very easy for you to mark the areas rather than just learning or trying to cram where is the line, how much the line should be drawn. Clear? You get to important areas to mark in the map. So it becomes very easy that if you get the forest and the mountainous soil to mark, you know that these three states are there. Sikkim is there, upper parts of the Arunachal Pradesh is there. Then you have Uttarakhand, you have Himachal Pradesh, and of course the whole union territory of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh is there, where this type of soil is available. So then, because you have to do political map of India, so it will become very easy for you to remember where to mark the soil type. So this sometimes also comes in identification. Identification means that, as I have just now given you the example, this area will be marked and you will be asked to identify the soil type. Right? So let's move further with the alluvial soil. Consists of various proportions of sand, silt, and clay. As we move inland towards the river valley, soil particles appear somewhere bigger in size. And in the upper reaches of the river valley or near the places they break up into slopes, the soils and are porous, such as in Dors, that is the foothills of the eastern Himalayas. You can note down and write, chos are the seasonal streams. If you go from Fagwada to Hoshiarpur side to Chintpurni, you might have visited so many times, you might have seen that there is a very deep slope of the road. Again, the road moves higher, then again there is a very deep slope. In between ऐसे एक zigzag सा बना हुआ है. ठीक है, तो उसमें क्या होता है कि व्हेन हैवी रेन्स होती हैं तो एक स्मॉल चैनल पानी का बनना शुरू हो जाता है वहां से, एंड दीज आर कॉल्ड एज चोज एंड तेराई. तेराई आर द marshy land. Next is, there are two divisions of this soil, that is Khadar and the Bangar. Clear, the old alluvial is called Bangar and the new alluvial is called Khadar because of the characteristics of the presence of silt or conker nodules. So on the basis of that, these soils are categorized as new alluvial and old alluvial. Next, alluvial soils on the whole are very fertile and they contain adequate proportion of potash, phosphoric acid, and lime. So what we are going to do is the characteristics while studying about the various soils. First of all, clear how it is formed. Secondly, that what are the nutrients which are present in the soil. Third, if the soil is deficient in any kind of nutrients. Fourth, what are the kind of crops which can be grown? And lastly, what are the areas or which are the areas where this soil is generally found? So already I have shared the detailed points. So this is how you are going to study all the soils. Next is that due to its high fertility, regions of alluvial soils are intensively cultivated and densely populated. We know this because wherever we will have fertile land, naturally more cultivation will be there. Clear? And as a result of the plain areas, we know that in the areas of Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and in the coastal regions, clear, some parts of Rajasthan and Gujarat, where we can see the alluvial soil, these are densely populated. We know UP, Bihar, all these are very highly densely populated areas, states. Clear? And cultivation is the main, that is agriculture is the main occupation over here. Next is black soil. These soils are black in color and are also known as ragur soils. Black soil is ideal for growing cotton and is also known as sometimes black cotton soil. Now, if we see in the map, we see that parts of Gujarat, clear, and some parts of Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh, clear. So that becomes easier for you to identify if we go by the name of the states to understand where the soil is available. Now let's see the properties. This type of soil is typical of the Deccan Trap. Deccan Trap, we know that the area, clear, which is a plateau region also, and it is made up of igneous rocks. We have done that. That's why so many times when we talk about the igneous rocks, we call them the primary rocks, then the sedimentary, and then the metamorphic rocks. And this type of, as they have given, basalt, Deccan Trap, in the bracket they have written basalt. Basalt is an example of igneous rocks, clear? And we know that igneous rocks are further categorized as intrusive and extrusive. Intrusive is when the lava remains inside and gets hardened and the kind of rocks, and extrusive are those when the lava flows out. When it is inside, it's magma. When it flows out, it comes in the form of lava. And because inside the temperature is very hot, when it comes out, it flows out. Volcanic eruptions are there, it flows out. At that time, it comes out and solidifies. Clear? So, वो rocks कौन से होते हैं? Extrusive rocks. Clear? Next is the spread over the northeast Deccan Plateau and is made up of lava flows. As just now I told you that it is made up for that. They cover the plateaus of Maharashtra. I already told you that regions of Maharashtra. For this, your political map understanding has to be very clear. At least now you must know about the location of the states in the map. So therefore, whenever you get time, for 5 minutes, at least you should keep a map and practice just writing the states on the map so that you know what location we are talking about. So areas of Maharashtra and Saurashtra, these are 11 to 12 districts of Gujarat. This area is also in the Gujarat only. पहले ये इसका नाम होता था, अब ये एक एरिया है गुजरात में. It comprises of 11 districts of Gujarat. Clear? So that is the name we are reading just now. Next is Malwa, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. As I just now told you that we should remember by the name of the states. Next is the black soils are made up of extremely fine clay material. They are well known for the capacity to hold moisture. And in addition, they are rich in soil nutrients such as calcium carbonate, magnesium, potash, and lime. So during these soils are generally poor in phosphoric content. I told you that we have to do the rich content, that is the important feature of the soil. Plus, along with that, we also have to study what is the deficient nutrient in the soil. They develop deep cracks during hot weather, which helps in the proper aeration of the soil. We know that सबसे पहले हमने कौन सी लाइन की है कि soil is a living system. Living system means अब हम air की बात कर रहे हैं, so it means that the air has life in it. The soil has life in it, and it requires proper aeration, plowing, nutrients to give us the benefit of being soil as a resource. Next is red and yellow soils. Red soil develops on crystalline igneous rocks in the areas of low rainfall. Clear? Low rainfall means that rainfall is not much in the eastern and the southern parts of the Deccan Plateau. Yellow and red soils are also found in parts of Odisha and Chhattisgarh. Southern parts of the middle, they have given this. These are the names which you can learn. Otherwise, if you know the two, excuse me, two major areas 2 to 3 major areas of any soil type which is available in India, that would be sufficient. These soils develop a reddish color due to diffusion of iron. And we are already doing this is in the plateau region where availability of mineral is there. Crystalline and metamorphic rocks. It looks yellow when it occurs in a hydrated form. Hydrated form means that when moisture is there, when water is there in the soil. Next is laterite soil. Laterite soil has been derived from the Latin word. The laterite soil develops in the areas with high temperature and heavy rainfall. And this is the result of intense leaching due to heavy rain. Humus content of the soil is low because most of the microorganisms, particularly the decomposers like bacteria, get destroyed due to high temperature. High temperature and because of heavy rainfall. These are the characteristics. Next, laterite soils are suitable for cultivation of with adequate doses of manures and fertilizers. So in case crops need to be grown, so these can be done with a good doses of manures and fertilizers. Areas next are found in Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Madhya Pradesh. You can learn 3 names of 3 states where these soils are available, and accordingly, if you get in the map the areas to be shaded for a particular soil, so as per the name of the states, you can shade those areas. After adopting appropriate soil conservation techniques, particularly in the hairy areas of Karnataka, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu, this soil is very useful for growing tea and coffee. Red laterite soil in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Kerala is also suitable for crops, cashew nuts. So we know that in laterite soil, we can grow tea, coffee, and cashew nuts. Next is the arid soil. The very name suggests that these soils which lack water. Clear? Arid soils range from red to brown in color. They are generally sandy in texture and saline in nature. Because we know that in the areas of Rajasthan, you can see in the map towards, you remember you have marked here the Aravali Hills. So beyond the Aravali Hills, we see that arid soil is there, and this lacks, this is sandy. Why it is sandy? Because you see, अगर हम soil, अगर हमारे पास गीली soil होती है, पकड़ी होती है जिसमें पानी है, तो उसमें क्या होता है कि we can, जैसे हम उसको इकट्ठा कर सकते हैं, clay बन जाती है, it has that sticky content. But जब soil dry है, तो वो क्या होती है, अगर हम उसको ऐसे अपने हाथ में मसलेंगे तो वो क्या होगी, वो गिर जाएगी, उड़ जाएगी. आप हवा में ऐसे पकड़ के, थोड़ी सी सॉइल को पकड़ के अगर आप उसको अपने हाथ में ऐसे 2 फिंगर्स में रब करोगे, तो यू विल सी द सॉइल फ्लोइंग इन द विंड. सो सिमिलरली arid soils are generally sandy in texture and saline. Because why saline? Because there is a lot of evaporation. Clear? And as a result, the salinity, the content of different kinds of salt is more. In some areas, like salt content is very high, and common salt is obtained by evaporating the water. Due to the dry climate, high temperature, evaporation is faster and the soil lacks humus and moisture. So that is obvious. That's why when we are saying that the soil is arid, it means it lacks moisture. Next is the lower horizons of the soil are occupied by कंकर. These are nodules. अभी हमने किया कि evaporation ज़्यादा होती है, salinity soil में ज़्यादा है, presence of various kinds of salts is there because of the increasing calcium content downwards. तो इसमें क्या होता है, जैसे हमारा first हमने soil profile की है, there are different on page number 7. There are different, topmost layer is there, then subsoil is there, then next, and 4 layers of the soil as per the diagram. अब ये जो हम arid soil है, इसमें क्या होता है कि जो top layer, clear, because of the evaporation and lack of water, इसकी जब हम दूसरी, second, third layer तक पहुंचते हैं, तो वहां पर एक थिन लेयर बन जाती है कैल्शियम कार्बोनेट की, एंड दैट गेट्स हार्डन। तो फिर ये क्या करता है कि ये जो लेयर बन जाती है, इट स्टॉप्स द वाटर फ्रॉम गोइंग टिल द बॉटम, दैट इज ग्राउंड वाटर लेवल जिसको हम कहते हैं। बाकी जो कई सॉइल्स होती हैं, जैसे हमने उस दिन किया था कि हाउ द वाटर गेट्स पोल्यूटेड, हाउ द दिस सॉइल गेट्स पोल्यूटेड, बिकॉज विद द वाटर इट सीप्स इनटू द सॉइल, उसके अंदर चला जाता है और उसके साथ ही पॉल्यूटेंट्स भी चले जाते हैं। बट जब हम एरिड सॉइल की बात कर रहे हैं, इसके थर्ड लेवल तक जाते जाते क्या होता है कि वहां पर जो प्रेजेंस ऑफ कैल्शियम कार्बोनेट है, उसके कारण एक थिन लेयर ऐसी बन जाती है, विल रीड फर्दर, द रिस्ट्रिक्ट द इनफिल्ट्रेशन ऑफ वाटर। तो वो क्या करती है, पानी को उसके अंदर सीप इन करने के लिए रुकावट पैदा करती है। After proper irrigation, these soils become cultivable, as has been in the case of Western Rajasthan. तो आपने पहले भी इसमें पढ़ा होगा कि इंदिरा गांधी कैनाल जो बनी थी राजस्थान में, तो अब राजस्थान में it's not there that the whole Rajasthan is a desert. Clear? Wheat is also being growing. Other crops are also being grown in Rajasthan now, as they have said, with forest, with proper irrigation. Next is the forest soil. These soils are found in the hilly and mountainous area. Very beginning I told you that which are the areas. These soils texture, the soil's texture varies according to the mountain environment where they are found. They are loamy and silty in valley sides and coarse grained in the upper slopes. As you remember, when you did the chapter of natural vegetation in class 9, at that time you have done that how in the Himalayas and the hilly regions, after few kilometers of slopes, the type of trees were also different. Clear? So similarly, variation in the soil types. In the snow-covered areas of Himalayas, these soils experience denudation. Denudation is when we remove, denude, otherwise it is from the word denude. Denude का मतलब होता है to remove the top covering. किसी चीज के ऊपर से हमने कोई covering हटा दी तो उसको हम कहते हैं denude. So when we are talking about denudation of soil, it means that the topmost covering of the soil, that is which is the most fertile, clear, due to some reasons that is being removed. So we will read further. What is it? That and are acidic with low humus content. The soils found in the lower parts of the valleys, particularly in the river terraces and alluvial fans, are fertile. तो जो lower reaches हैं, वहां पर क्या है, जो soil type is fertile. Next is soil erosion and soil conservation. The very first word you will read is the denudation of the soil cover. That is the removing of the top layer. Denudation का reason क्या बन जाता है? Most of the time it is deforestation. We know that the tree roots help to hold the soil, and as a result we get good fertile layer of the soil. But when deforestation is there, we are cutting trees recklessly. As a result, the top layer of the soil gets exposed to all weathering agents, that is the wind or the air, and as a result, the erosion of the top layer of the soil, which is we are referring to denudation. The denudation of the soil cover and subsequent washing down. Subsequent washing down का मतलब है पहले तो हमने ट्रीज वगैरह काट दिए तो उसको एक्सपोज कर दिया, हमें हमारी जो टॉप लेयर ऑफ द सॉइल इज दैट गेट्स एक्सपोज्ड, क्लियर, और उसके बाद सब्सिक्वेंटली उसके बाद वॉशिंग डाउन इज डिस्क्राइब्ड एज सॉइल एरोजन. तो आपको मैंने बताया कि विंड और वाटर से जब टॉप लेयर ऑफ द सॉइल इरोड हो जाती है, वहां से हट जाती है, तो उसको हम कहते हैं सॉइल एरोजन. First, we will see the reasons of soil erosion. Then we will see that why we need to conserve the soil. The process of soil formation and erosion go simultaneously. Nature में soil erosion and soil formation side by side chalta rehta hai. But if human beings are causing deforestation, denudation is more, somewhere or the other, the balance of nature gets disturbed. Simultaneously and generally, this balance is disturbed due to human activity. What I told just now, like deforestation, you can underline these, that what are the reasons for soil erosion? Deforestation, overgrazing. Overgrazing means that we are not giving, हमने pasture lands का किया था ना, that some part of our area are pasture lands. अब हम उस एरिया को रीग्रो करने के लिए टाइम ही नहीं दे रहे. Same land is being used again and again. Construction and mining. Mining का भी हमने किया था, one of the reasons of land degradation. Clear? While natural forces like wind, glacier, and water lead to soil erosion, the running water cuts through the clay soils and make deep channels, because if we don't have trees, less number of trees there, so we don't have protection for the soil. As a result, what happens? That the water cuts through and makes deep channels, which are called gullies. Next is just the lands become unfit for cultivation. We have already done, and they are known as bad land. Which lands? Over which the deforestation has taken place, or due to some reason the top layer of the soil has been removed. So those lands become bad lands, and in the Chambal area, these are known as ravines. Please underline and remember for MCQ. Next is sometimes water flows and sheet cover. Sheet means कि बहुत सारे flat area पे बहुत सारे area को at a time ही वो क्या करता है, वहां से slope से मिट्टी को erode कर देता है because of the lack of trees. So that is called as sheet erosion. Soil erosion is also caused due to defective methods of farming. अगर हम farming proper way से भी नहीं करते तब भी soil erosion हो सकती है. तो उसका क्या रीजन है कि हम क्या करते हैं कि we always try to cut the area and do modifications. जब भी हम modifications करते हैं, when we play with the nature, we do a lot of modifications. Naturally, somewhere or the other, we harm the natural resources which are available to us from nature. We have already seen so many examples in this chapter. So now next is that how we can conserve. In the last paragraph, how we can conserve these soils, flowing along the contour lines. Contour lines means the natural. अगर वो zigzag है, चाहे वो straight है, चाहे उसकी कोई भी shape है land की, ठीक है, उसको हम कहते हैं along the contour lines, कि हमें उस shape के साथ ही maintain करना चाहिए, जैसे हम करते हैं because of अभी recently उत्तराखंड में again there were flash floods. उससे पहले भी एक बार बहुत ज्यादा नुकसान हुआ था, because we try to, what do? We try to create a new path for the river and we try to obstruct the natural path. तो contour lines का मतलब होता है कि जहां पर हमें ऐसा लैंड अवेलेबल है, हमें उसकी शेप, जो उसका नेचुरल अवेलेबिलिटी हमारे पास है, उसके अलोंग ही हमें उस पे एग्रीकल्चर कल्टीवेशन करनी चाहिए. That can de-accelerate the flow of water. ठीक है, de-accelerate का मतलब होता है एक बार एक स्पीड से पानी जा रहा है तो वो अपने साथ बहुत सारी मिट्टी ले जाएगा, टॉप लेयर को ले जाएगा. क्लियर? अब अगर zigzag है तो उसमें क्या होगा, पानी का जो फ्लो है वो थोड़ा कम हो जाएगा. कम का मतलब उसकी स्पीड जो है वो कम हो जाएगी. Steps can be taken, control steps can be cut out on the slopes, making terraces. Terrace cultivation restricts erosion. Western and central Himalayas have been deployed terraced farming. Large fields can be divided into strips. Strips of grass are left to grow between the crops. उससे क्या होता है कि wind से, जब बहुत तेज हवा से मिट्टी उड़ जाती है, तो if we have the grass, जैसे अभी हम पढ़ रहे हैं, strips of grass, that can also protect. Next is, this breaks up the force of the wind. This method is known as strip cropping. Planting lines of trees to create shelter are also works in a similar way. Rows of such trees are called shelter belts. Clear? So these are some of the methods of conservation of soil. So with this, we'll complete the chapter.